Hi everyone, welcome to the sixth episode of Healthcare Career Experts podcast. And today we have with us someone who has a very, very unconventional path. And before I had met him, I didn't know that we could have such an option. And plus, I think he's also given a TED talk. So before me giving out too much, I think Dr. Anoop can introduce himself and can do justice to himself, which I won't be able to do.
Hi guys, my name is Anoop Shaji. I am from Kerala. Currently, I'm pursuing my master's in biomedical engineering from IIT Bombay. So I've been interested in research since a very long time, and my career ambition is to work as a clinician scientist. So that's why I've made the transition to engineering, technology, and innovation. I was interested in entrepreneurship as well. So I felt after my BDS that IIT Bombay or particularly any technical institute would be the right fit to pursue my master's. So that's about it, how my journey has been so far.
Nice. And how did you? I'm still fascinated with the fact that you gave a TED talk. So, how did you land up doing that?
Yeah, so I used to be part of a lot of research work in the undergrad scene. So I had been to IIT Kharagpur and IIT Madras. So I worked on some cutting edge medical devices at that time. So the 10x team. So it's individually or private organizations that invite individuals who are doing some societal difference to come to their platform and give talks. So I was invited by a couple of colleges to come and give the talk, and that's how it go. That's how it went about it.
Nice, nice. That's actually pretty impressive. And at such a young age, you have achieved something which not a lot of people get to do, especially after doing dentistry, because you
Thank you,
know
thank you so
what the dentistry scene is like right now. So that's
much. Yes.
pretty impressive. And so, why did you make a switch of getting, like, I know you've touched a bit on it that you wanted to, be a scientist, but why did you make the switch from dentistry to the field of research, to be precise?
So actually, I was very sure that I wanted to do something with research after my 12th. So just getting into dentistry was something like a luck. So I was a little confused between choosing engineering or medicine after my 12th. So I gave both the exams. Just like everybody else, I gave JE exam and NEET exam. So fortunately, I could crack them both. I also cracked the state medical exam. So I got a merit seat. So that's how I joined in my state itself. But I always had that urge that I wanted to do something in technology as well. I just wanted to get a flavor of what entrepreneurship is and different kinds of innovations. So that's why I was very sure that after the clinical degree, I wanted to pursue it and understand how it looks like from the both sides of the world. So that's how I got about it. Yeah.
Yeah, but then looking at both sides of the world and landing in IIT Bombay, that's a huge, huge deal. So, I
Thank you
mean,
so much.
I'm still fascinated by it. Okay,
Thank you.
so before we move on to the other questions, I would want you to touch base on what do you exactly do to make our viewers understand what is MTech in biomedical engineering, if I'm not
Okay.
wrong.
So MTech program, Masters of Technology program, this is something that you do as a post graduation after you do an undergrad degree. So basically, if you want to do MTech, you can literally do any bachelor's in technology or medicine or pharmacy, which we hope. So biomedical engineering is a very interdisciplinary field. So what people do in biomedical engineering is that they might have different backgrounds. They come together and solve healthcare problems. So that's how, if I speak about my batch, so there is one doctor, me. There is pharmacists, two to three of my batchmates. There are a lot of engineers. There are different people from MSc chemistry, physics, and stuff. So you can see the diversity is huge. I think that's the beauty of biomedical engineering. That different people from different expertise come together and solve real life world healthcare problems. So that's why I would suggest that if someone is interested or passionate about research, innovation, and they want to work on some medtech or healthcare problems, I think this field could be of very interesting to you.
Nice, nice. So, another thing. So, but did you always know that you wanted to do something in the health tech field, or was it when you came into the industry of, let's say, when you came into dentistry, you realized that there are some gaps somewhere? So, was it then, or was it always there?
To be very frank, this was all possible because of a magazine article that I read back in my undergrad. So in my undergrad, I was sure that I want to do something related to becoming a scientist and stuff, but I didn't know that you can actually pursue a technical degree and then reach that goal. So I came across an article by Dr. Arvind Kumar Rangan. So he's a senior from IIT Bombay. So he's like a MBBS doctor who did MTech and then he did PhD. Now he's an assistant professor at IIT Hyderabad. So he's like the classic example of a clinician scientist. So I read his article about his life story, what were his interests, and his career trajectory really interested me. That's how I went about and read more about this transition that clinicians can do with technical and becoming a research expert and stuff. So I think, to be honest, that was the turning point in my life where I actually wanted to do this degree and take this career.
Right. Got it. So, what is the difference? Like, I know I'm deviating from a lot of questions, but then I just keep getting questions. So, what's the difference between a scientist and, like, what do you exactly mean by a clinician scientist?
Okay, so clinician, as we all know, we treat patients. So scientists, they do research. So they do lab research. So they do research in the bedside. So clinician scientist is someone who takes the innovation and research that is happening into in the bedside to the bedside. Okay, so this transition can be done only by someone who has expertise in both the domains. So this is the exactly the work of a clinician scientist. To be just to add, there are very less clinician scientists in India. In US and abroad, there is something called as a physician scientist program. So it's like an MD PhD program. So when you do your MD, like the which is equivalent to your clinical degree, you get to do your PhD as well alongside. So when you graduate after 5 years, you get both the degrees. This kind of transitioning program is very less in India. Also, few institutes like IISc are coming up with such programs, but it's still in its niche stage. So yeah, this is exactly what clinician scientists are all about.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay. So that means, like, since we don't have a, what do you call that, a comprehensive course like it's there outside, so people follow the method that you have been, which not a lot of
exactly.
people follow, but yeah. Okay. So I'm pretty sure that it must not have been really easy to, get into IIT Bombay, and you have to like build your profile, and you might have done so many things to be at the place that you are right now. So, what is it that you did, and what is it that our viewers or anyone who's interested in a field like yours can also do?
So mostly first and foremost, research experience is very important. So I understand that during our undergrad we get very less time, but there are a lot of remote opportunities. There are a lot of courses. There are a lot of like networking opportunities available these days. That whenever you get time or whenever you are done with your clinical degree, you can maybe spend a year or two in research labs doing some projects. There is something called as JRF, so Junior Research Fellowship. So you get money stipend to do the research project for a year or two. So there are different labs, different openings, especially AIMS and institutes like that. They do hire JRFs and stuff. So once you get the research experience, you can always back this up. Why do you want to do this degree, or why do you want to be a scientist when you give your master's program admission interview? So I think this is the most important. Other than that, learning basic biotech skills would be highly efficient. So there are different workshops done by government as well as private, institutes and universities where you can learn all these techniques. Also, I'm aware that when you do MDS in oral path and stuff, you get to learn these stuff. So like MDS oral path is somewhat like what the kind of work that we do for research, the wet lab experience. Like you do cell line work, you make different kinds of nanoparticles, you test for them, you test for efficacy, toxicity, and stuff like that. So this is somewhat what researchers do. So if you can get some experience in the form of internships or like JRF project positions, etc., you could actually back this up when during your interview. Like the panel will ideally get a like a feeling that okay, this person is seriously interested in research, and this person, like if you give them this education, it will really benefit them for a career ahead. So yeah, that could be done.
Right. So you also did these the JRF program that you spoke about. Did you also do one of any of those?
So I did two research internships. So in my university, after the university exams, we used to get 1.5 months break time. So at
Right.
that time, I used to visit different labs and do projects. So during my second year, I visited a place called Mangalore Institute of Oncology, MIO. It's in Mangalore, Karnataka. So in my third year, I went to IIT Kharagpur for 1.5 months for like this to do research. So in my final year, I went to IIT Madras. So during my interview, I backed my research interest with these experiences. So I think
Right.
that really clicked with them. In our university, we had that timeline with this break time when we could, explore different kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So if not, like after your degree is done, you can always explore this. Like you can give a year or two for this,
Separate.
and then you can apply for different programs.
That makes sense. But wasn't it difficult to even get into maybe, like you said, IIT Madras, IIT Kharagpur, and all of these places? How did you build your profile to even get there? Like, what did you do to get there, be an intern there?
Okay, so mostly people first they look for some kind of expertise. Second, they look for a problem statement. So since we are from a clinical background, we have like numerous problem statements, like the things that we have come across during our practice and stuff. So I made a problem statement during my third year with the experience that I had in my second year. I had been like an observer in a oncology hospital. So I made a problem statement and I told so that this is what I want to do for 1.5 months and this is my profile and these are my skills and experience. So that's how I got it. So once you get one experience, then to get the next one would be easier. So I think that
Easier.
to get that first breakthrough will be a little tough, but yeah, if we are persistent enough, I think we will break it through.
Right, right. Basically, not even persistent and passionate. I feel the way that you speak about stuff, you are pretty passionate about what you're doing, which is a huge
Thank
deal.
you. Thank you so much.
Okay. So, are there any other opportunities in research apart from the field of cancer? Basically, how many different fields are there? What can people actually do, explore into, if you can dwell on that?
Yeah, so cancer is just one niche. There is something called in neuroscience, there is anti-aging, there are different kinds of chronic diseases. So these are the hot areas there where a lot of research is happening. So these are the areas where we don't have a definite cure. So as long as somebody doesn't find a cure, these areas are the ones that will have a lot of research interest. So I think it's very important to understand what your area of interest is. And that's how you read more about this area and then become an expert in this. At least theory wise, if you can understand what you are supposed to do and then you can always frame a problem statement and then you can approach different PIs. Cold emailing is one of the main ways that I've used to get my internship. So basically you take the email ID of the professors from the website, then you understand what kind of area do they work, then you make a problem statement accordingly which he's expert in and where the lab has the resources, and then you mail the profs. A lot of times you don't get replies, but you have to keep trying. You have to keep trying in different institutes. So if you're from Kerala, you have opportunity for IIT Palakkad or NIT Calicut or university colleges and stuff like that. So in Karnataka and different other states there will be a similar scenario. So to understand, okay, for example, if I'm interested in cancer, I know which are the areas that are like uh, doing some great work in cancer, or you can just Google and understand what are the research labs near you who are doing this kind of work, and then you can always approach them. If you're a day scholar, I think that will be more ideal because mostly you will not be getting much stipend or accommodation if you're going just for research in 1.5 months, because going in for just for your experience. So if you're doing some dissertation, like a lot of BSc students, like Bachelor of Science students, BSc Biotechnology, Zoology, those kind of students do have a dissertation component. Like you have to stay in the research lab for 6 months, then you have to make a project, then you have to present your thesis and stuff. Mostly labs will prefer these kind of students because they'll be able to stay for a longer time and high chances that it could even lead to a publication. So even if 1.5 months, the labs that I've been, they were very okay with it. There will be labs in your state as well who will be interested to take you like that. And there are always remote opportunities. For example, if you are interested in coding, bioinformatics, and stuff like that, you can always do these kind of work like online or remotely along with your studies. I've also come to know a lot of students do internships like that. Instead of going offline, they do informatics, computation work, etc. online. They learn these coding tools and skills, and then they can contribute to research projects, and maybe they'll get a paper as well if the work is good enough. So these are the avenues that people can explore.
Right, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I didn't know that we could do it remotely, but the bioinformatics thing makes a lot of sense. And since I think there are a lot of things that are coming up, I don't know if these many opportunities were there, or maybe we just weren't aware of it. either ways. But yeah. So okay, so was it difficult or not exactly, okay, let's not put it that way. Was it, did dentistry help you in making this switch, or was it a tad bit more difficult when compared to if someone else is making the switch?
I think the clinical exposure really helped. So to understand what are the key, like drawbacks and flaws in our clinical system and where are we lacking. I think these are the ones that really help you understand the gaps and then make a problem statement to work on a research project. I think the clinical exposure really helped me to be where I am just because of my education, path, microbiology, anatomy, physioing stuff, etc. I can understand different complex, medicine stuff. So I'll be able to apply this when I'm trying to innovate or make some solution for a problem. I think that really helps. So I'm grateful for my clinical degree in that way. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. I mean, if someone's considering it from the dental field and if they're listening to it, I really hope that they can, their decision is strengthened after this, basically. Okay, so now we'll come on to the most important topic, which people always have, that how did you get into this place? So what sort of exams did you give? And the subsequent question is, how did you prepare for those exams?
Okay. So the most importantly, to clarify everything, you just need your NEET MDS or your AIMS score to get into IIT Bombay. So I know it's kind of a very surprising thing. So there are two modes of admission. Okay, so one is through something called as a GATE exam. GATE exam stands for Graduate Aptitude Test in Engineering. So this is basically for the BTechs and BSc, MSc people to like compete and come into IIT. There's a paper called as GATE Excel. It's GATE Life Sciences paper. That all the doctors are eligible for. Some people know about it already, so they apply through this, get some good score, and then they take admission, direct admission to IIT Bombay. If you don't know about GATE, or if you're not interested to prepare for GATE after internship, you can always do your NEET PG exam, NEET MDS, or INICET exam. If you get a rank under 5K, or if you get a very good score, you are eligible to directly apply for IIT Bombay. So after you apply, they will call you for a written test. So written test basically has physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics of your 12th level. So if you can revise your NCRT and your JE and NEET books, that will be enough. Then there's an interview. So basically, they'll assess your knowledge in these basic subjects as well as your motivation to pursue this degree and to understand about your career goal and ambition. So this is generally the pattern. Uh, if so, you have to choose. So if you want to prepare for GATE or do you want to prepare for NEET after your 12th, so it would be good since most people will also be looking for a MDS clinical seat, etc. So they'll be preparing for NEET MDS exam. So once you're done with your NEET, you can always apply. The admission season mostly starts from March. So during the March, they'll start the application process. During the April or May will be the time when you will have to submit your written test and interview details, and then you get selected. So mostly by the starting of June, you will get to know about your selection result.
Right. And what is the sort of rank that people need to get in NEET if they want to get here into IIT Bomb or in this
Uh,
course,
yeah,
basically?
anything less than 5K will work, but there is no certain cutoff. So I assume that even if you get a like a passing score, anything above 300, you can expect a call from IIT Bombay for the written test.
Okay, so basically you give the rank, then you send in your application, and then they call
Yeah,
you back for the test. Right.
exactly. Yeah.
Right. That makes sense. And how many seats do they have for this
Okay,
course?
so total we have 25 seats, like total the whole MTech batch in biomedical engineering. Since you are called for written test, so it totally depends upon your written test and interview performance to get selected. So you don't get any
Right.
bias after that. But yeah, there is something called the health science category. So there, like 1 to 2 seats, they try to give it for someone from a not non-engineering background, like a doctor or a pharmacist or a BSc nursing, those kind of medical background students. So
Right.
yeah,
Got it. Got it. Okay. So, and is there a particular cutoff that you need to get in the written test, or it's not like that? They'll just get back to you.
Yeah, in written test, so basically, the written test happened just a few weeks back. So I can talk the stats about that. So there were around 500 students who have applied for this program, but for the written test, only 200 people came because of different reasons and logistics and stuff. So out of this
Right.
200 students, only 72 made the written test. So like they try to take it half or more than just half. So out of 72, around 25 students will be offered a seat. So that's how the whole cutoff and stats work. So you can expect
Understood.
around 200 students minimum to write the written test and around 70 to 80 students to make the final interview list.
Got
And
it.
then,
Right.
yeah, 25 seats is what you get.
Pretty tough to get into. But I think if you're interested and you have a good profile, it's not impossible, I think.
Yeah, these days people are aware of it. Like during our last written test, there were around 6 doctors who had applied. Out of that, one doctor had got this time. So yeah, that is
Oh,
possible. And
nice.
two students were from BDS background itself. So
Oh,
yeah, I think
nice.
students are getting aware of this. Yeah,
Aware of
detail.
it, yeah. Yeah. That's good to know actually that we are getting into the representation sector. Good. Okay. So what are the job opportunities like after this course?
Okay, so firstly, to say biomedical engineering course, not many colleges offer. There are only a handful of colleges, and there are only very few IITs that offer this course for doctors per se. So the number of doctors who are graduating from this course are very less. So I can talk about the job opportunities in a very broad scale. So if you are good in coding, data science, you can always look for artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning profile, like basically a researcher or an assistant or a scientist position. So that's mostly the job profile that medtech companies, pharma companies, and different other companies who come for campus placements look for. So if you're looking for off campus, you can always look for management positions or consultant positions, or mostly in pharma, like medical companies and stuff. Because since you have both the degrees, I think it would be really beneficial for them to have you on board. So yeah, mostly medtech, pharma, biotech, like clinical companies, pharmacovigilance, yeah, those kind of companies are where you can actually look, or you can work as a strategy consultant, those kind of profiles. Yeah.
Right. So do you have like since in engineering colleges there are college placements, so do you also have college placements?
Yeah, IIT Bombay definitely has college placements. So if you're looking for biomedical engineering, I think IIT Bombay would be the ideal place. So the best college with the most placements is IIT Bombay in the cool country. So if you're looking for a great job, I think the most priority should be to crack one of the old IITs like IIT Delhi or IIT Bombay, IIT Madras or IIT Hyderabad for that matter. So these are the few institutes that you should be targeting if you're looking for placements. So once you come here, I think it's very important that you learn coding, computer programming languages, because that's what most companies look for. Build some projects and then make a good profile. It's very important that you don't stick to just textbooks or theory knowledge. Try to get a lot of practical hands-on experience. There are a lot of workshops that keep happening in the institute itself, so there is ideal opportunity to learn all these. And plus, there are a lot of online courses from Coursera, Udemy, etc., that you can take online now itself to learn. Programming is a very key skill, even if you don't take engineering. To build different apps and different those kind of things will always be useful for you, even for your career ahead. So yeah, if you can learn programming, it would be great.
So you've learned programming on
Yeah, I'm learning.
yeah,
Basically, I'm more interested into research, wet lab kind of experiments. So I use very less programming. So I'm learning Python, MATLAB these days, which I really use, and for R for statistics and stuff. So these are the things that
right.
I am focused on. So yeah, for jobs, mostly Python, R, MATLAB, different kinds of data analysis tools are what people look for. And you can always learn it online and you can build your own project. So that's not going to be a tough. Like you get 2 years to prepare for all this. So yeah, there is a lot of
Yeah,
time, no problem.
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so what would you say is the future scope in this field? I mean, talking about what we've spoken, I think there's a lot of scope, but I still want to know from you.
Okay, so as more and more doctors come into this field, there is a huge, explosion of opportunities, not just in, joining jobs, even creating jobs. So once you have the expertise in both the domain, you can always work on real life problems. In India, there are a lot of problems that different startups are trying to solve. And, if you can also start a startup where you can, take up these opportunities and stuff, As a strategy consultant or associate, or even as a scientist, you can always contribute with your expertise in both the domains. There's a huge scope. The thing is, biomedical engineering is in a very niche stage in India. So it's growing, it's rapidly growing. There are a lot of biotechnology companies that are coming up and stuff. And already in abroad, biomedical engineering is a hot field to work on. So there are huge scope and job prospects if you're interested in this field.
Right. And can, like, since you brought up outside, can
Yeah.
you do this degree and tomorrow, let's say you want to go out abroad and apply, do you think you can do that as well? Like there are
Yeah,
opportunities outside?
definitely. You can definitely apply for off-campus jobs. Once you have the relevant, people generally don't look for degree. People look for relevant skills and experience. So if you have the relevant skills and experience, you can definitely apply for jobs. And even for our campus placement, a lot of international companies like Sysmex, Honda, etc., they come from Japan and different other countries for placements. So
Nice.
that's also one lucrative thing that you can look forward to if you are joining a good institute for biomedical
Yeah.
engineering.
Good institute is a definite criteria for that.
There are a lot of good institutes in India,
Yeah.
so don't worry about it.
But that is a very good point. Can you also list out some good institutes, like you said, and some, let's say, because not every institute is going to be that great, right?
Yeah,
So
I
can you
understand.
list out, can you give us a list of the good institutes in India?
Okay, so if you're applying with your NEET AIM scores, so some of the best institutes that you can target is IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, IIT Madras, IIT Roorkee, IIT Hyderabad. Also, you can target some of the new IITs like IIT Ropar, etc. If you're like I said, there's a paper called Gate Excel, Gate Life Sciences. So if you crack that, you can literally get admission in any college in the country. Some of the good colleges include NIT or Orkela or your state engineering colleges. So the most important thing is to connect with your alumni through LinkedIn, just to understand how is the course curriculum, how are the placement opportunities and stuff like that. So to understand an insider point of view, I think this is the best way to go about with it. So mostly college is important, that's for sure, but getting the relevant skills and industry relevant experience is most important. So try to focus on that. Try to build a lot of good projects that you can put in your resume and to show your potential recruiters. I think that is most important.
Right. That's actually a good piece of advice that you've given. So as I've also seen on your LinkedIn profile, and you've told me before, you do have a couple of startups that you're working in and you have founded them. So can you talk about a bit on them as well as to what you're
Yeah.
doing in them?
So one of the startups that I'm currently working on actively is called as Relive. So it's a social startup to help senior citizens navigate through life. So take for example, if my grandmother doesn't know WhatsApp and I'm in US and stuff, so if she wants to video call me, what does she do? So there's no one to help her out. So we have different volunteers who will be helping her coordinate to learn how the tech stuff. So this is what we do. For example, even if your parents are looking to go abroad for a Europe trip and they don't have any trusted service providers, so we try to bring volunteers and coordinators who help them out plan their trip and stuff. So this is what we do. It works on a hybrid mode, and we have been funded by the alumni of IIT Bombay. So in the past, I've also worked on some academic startups. So basically, to digitize your learning experience, so a software to navigate through your progress through different clinics and quotas and stuff. So that was one startup, and the other one was for a teleconsultation to between doctors to share clinical cases on an end-to-end private manner. So these are the startups that I've worked. Also talk a little bit about my research experience. So for my final year master's thesis, I'm working on a nanoparticle which is used to treat oral cancer. So in a very with less side effects. So that's my whole theme about. In the past, I've also worked on different types of microfluidics platforms. So what microfluidics is that? With little drop of blood, you can detect different kinds of stuff, and that too on a paper. So I've given also a TED talk about it. So if you're interested to know about the intricate details, you can always hit the TEDx page. So yeah, this is more about my research experience and what I've done over the past few years.
Right. We'll also promote your TEDx talk along with this.
Sure, good. Okay.
So, okay. So, but that's how did you come up with the idea for Relive? Because that sounds like a pretty interesting idea.
Yeah, so really came from my own grandma's experience. So the thing is, she doesn't know how to use tech much. So she's using a very standard phone. So recently, we wanted to give her a touchscreen phone, but she doesn't know how to use. So we want some relative to teach her how to do this, but the relative doesn't have time and stuff. So that's why we kind of understood that there are a lot of senior citizens like this who are not, who are not able to come to the mainstream because of all these, like small shortcomings. So if there is someone to help her out, for example, even if so my grandmother lives alone. So if there is a healthcare avenue, so we have to ring up our relatives. Most of the times they'll be having their own work and stuff. So means there is always a lack of, like coordination or some kind of like a, proper support for her for different kinds of needs. So that's where we found there's a lack. And we talked to different senior citizens, and a lot of them had their own problems and they want to do different things, but they're not able to find that right kind of support or help or to someone to coordinate something. So that's where we felt we should work on a hybrid mode. People who know how to use internet, they can come digital and take our services. Those who don't know how to use internet, they can always come to our offline pop-up stores and then they can take service. So that's how the whole idea came about.
Nice. It's basically like an old age home, but you live in the home and like you live at your home and people will come to you. So it's like that, sort of like
Yeah.
that. That's nice. That's really nice. And this culture is there, like this culture of, staying apart from your kids, like here, so you stay with your kids, but staying apart from your kids is something which does not happen. And then who takes care of you? This is a pretty
Yeah.
innovative idea.
Thank you.
So it's still working, like it's still in function,
Yeah,
right? Or
we are building the platform and then we'll be hoping to launch in a year's time.
oh, nice. That's
So
pretty
we are
cool.
running on a pilot mode right now.
Okay, got it. Okay, so now that we've spoken about everything under the sun, now if there is something which you can, recommend to people if they want to make this switch and they have this apprehension of whether I can do this, I cannot do this. So how can like what would you advise to them?
Okay, so firstly, before getting into this field, I think it's very important to get a flavor of what lies ahead. So that's why I would recommend doing internships, different kinds of, like exposure, going for different workshops, and to take up some tech courses online, Coursera, Udemy. Yes, there are so many opportunities these days because of the internet age. So try to get a flavor. Just check if you're interested. Just like I would always recommend people that you should do what you love. So follow your passion. I'm not saying for the filmy sake, but really like the money will come. The most important thing is to enjoy and be happy at what you do. So follow what you're interested in. Get your hands dirty on what you want to do before like making that final jump, because it's only a 2 year course. So don't think too much about it. It's not like you're gonna lose someone. Like nobody's gonna die even if you make a mistake. It's not like you're treating patients. Okay, so in clinical side there are a lot of apprehensions like what will happen to my patients? Am I doing things right or wrong? So am I following protocol? In here everything is free. It's like an open environment, open ground to explore what you want to do, what you're interested in, what you like. Even if you don't like it, you can always come back to a clinical practice. I mean, that's always there. It's nobody's gonna take that away from you. So
Right.
yeah, you're already a doctor. So this is a degree where you can actually explore your passion and to understand what you really want to do, and you can actually make a difference in a lot of people's life if you do this right. If you get the right education, the right exposure, the right experience, the right research mentality and aptitude. So if you're someone who is contemplating this path, I would suggest you to make a serious right foot forward for it.
That's actually a pretty good advice on basically testing the waters before you get into it, because that's true. And like, how do people? So, see, there must be like I have come across a lot of people who don't even know their own potential, who don't even know if there are things like to be honest, I wasn't someone who was passionate about anything. But right now, when I made Origio, I know that I'm very passionate about what I'm doing. So, let's say, how does like is just interest in research something which people can use to, understand if they like, and then, like you said, do internships? Is just interest enough?
Yeah. Uh, okay, so there are two schools of thought. So first thing is there will always be someone better than you. So how much ever you try to be perfectionist, how much ever you try to be the best in your field, there'll always be someone better than you. So why don't you just take that pressure off your head and take that stress off your mind and just be, like at the present, just do what you want to do. Find interest in what you like to do. So see, the thing is, people can have multiple interests. So I think people should take that time to explore each and every small thing and then see what you want to do. So some people find their passion early in their 20s, some people find their passion early in the 60s. So there is no specific time to find what you're interested in. So I mean, life is a free flowing thing. So I think it's most important to freely flow with it instead of telling yourself that, okay, I like this or I will do only this. So just keep your options open, just keep exploring. Second line of thought is that, okay, now you understood that you are really passionate about it, but don't close yourself out. So it's also very important to keep yourself always open to different possibilities. Just because you're interested in research doesn't mean that you will not be interested in something else. Means life has multiple options. So why do you have to keep yourself limited to just one option? So just don't keep too many rules or too many inhibitions to yourself that you might not be good. You will not know if you're not good in something unless you do it. So just, like put that right foot forward, do what you want to do, explore different things, get your hands dirty. It's okay even if you fail because you'll always have something to back up. I think that is most important. Some people don't have that kind of a, like a freedom to fall back to something. So you already have that sorted. So now just go out there and enjoy and then find what you're really passionate about and don't keep a timeline to it. It's okay. Just do whatever makes you happy and the money will come behind it. So yeah.
That's actually a pretty good advice because I feel, anyways, life is too short to just do one thing. So if you want to do multiple things, just go ahead, like you said, get your hands dirty, and then you can figure it out along the way, which is very
Yeah.
true. Okay, so thank you so much, Dr. Anoop, for doing this with us. It was very nice to go through this whole process because even I didn't know, our first call, I didn't know anything about this. And thank you for actually reaching out to me, to giving us this honor to give you the chance to do this with us, which is very complicated. But thank you so much for doing it with us.
Sure. Thank you. The pleasure is all mine.